Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are back for another, I don't know if I call them seasons or whatever, but we are back. And I'm excited to jump off with Twinimation. Twinimation,
Yes,
right?
Twinimation Studios.
Twinimation Studios. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids Podcast. And let's begin. Go ahead and introduce yourself, ladies.
So I'm Andria Jackson.
And my name is Arnisha Jackson, and both of us are the co-owners of Twinimation Studios.
Awesome. And tell us about Twinimation.
So we formed Twinimation Studios back in 2021, and the reason behind its creation was really because of the fact that after we graduated, we thought about the fact that we were not able to take as many classes as we wanted to take when we were in school. So, for example, in animation, there are certain mandatory classes you have to take, and then electives that you can take optionally, but it's all based on a time limit for the school we went to. So I wasn't able to learn things, for example, like special effects, like how to do fire, for example, or magical effects like that. So from that, I said to myself, I discussed it with my sister and said, I want to make a course where people can learn the extra things in animation that maybe they can't learn when they're actually taking their classes. Maybe they run out of time, because I did end up learning a few things on the side. And I thought to myself, and we both discussed it, and we said, you know what, we could do more than that. We could actually create full classes for people, because my sister, and I guess she can talk more about it, she likes Japanese anime type style, but there weren't really many classes on that at the school we went to. So we decided to create Twinimation Studios as like an online animation school where people can just log in, hop on, and they can learn whatever subject they want. They don't have, it's not like a school classroom where you have mandatory assignments and you have to have certain points hit and you get a grade. This is just for anyone who wants to learn and they want to learn it on their own time and they want to learn specific subjects. So we have courses focusing on, for example, how to animate in an old time Disney style type film. So if that's what you want to learn and that's all you want to learn, you can just get that course and learn it on your own time, and you don't have to be bogged down with the side things that you might get in art school or art college, whatever it may be. So it's really just for the flexibility of allowing students to learn what they wish to learn. And you can add.
Nice. Do you have something to add?
Yeah, basically that is kind of the behind story for how we decided to come up with Twinimation Studios. We also have like a more generalized things. Like we have our the first course that we came up with was how to create a short film. So it's another thing that we wanted to focus on with these courses was making it accessible to those who cannot really afford to go to college. So we try to make sure we recommend free programs or very inexpensive programs that you only perhaps only have to like pay for once, like there's no subscription or anything. For example, I use a drawing program called Clip Studio Paint, and while they ended up adding a subscription model, generally you just paid for it one time. It's also a program that they tend to put on sale very often, so I try to recommend programs like that. We recommend if there's a program like an Adobe product that you need to use, sometimes we try to make sure that we always recommend on the side like a free alternative or a very cheap alternative. So another thing that we tend to like to focus on is making sure that if you're interested in animation or art or illustration in any way, that you will be able to get into it without having to spend a whole lot of money.
Nice. Okay. So you have a passion for art. You have a passion for creating animation.
Yes,
Um,
correct.
what ages are your programs for?
We try to make them at a range where anyone can take them. We try to, because we know a lot of people are very specific about if their kid can take it or if it's only for adults. Usually we say 10 and above for the animation courses, because we try to present them in a way where they can be understood by any age. So you don't have to have taken an animation class, like a traditional college course, to know what we're talking about. We try to use terms in a very general way where they know what we're actually referring to. Like if I say draw one frame, I will say what a frame actually is, so that even if an older crowd, they'll probably already know what that means, which is a frame is a single drawing in an animation. Whereas for a younger crowd, they might not have heard of that yet. So I always try to, and we always both try to define what these terms mean so that they can be used by any age. We do have a style that is geared, I think, stylized more to a younger audience because, in particular, we did notice how you don't really see too many animation classes geared toward children. You see some things like video game coding because kids like video games, but usually for filmmaking, you don't really see too much geared toward children. So we always try to make it like preteen and above can easily access this. I had one class session I did one-on-one with a 10-year-old girl, and she seemed to enjoy it. She seemed to understand everything. So we usually go with 10 and up, but we never want to say that a younger child can't take them because we know there are lots of kids on different levels. So maybe you have a 7-year-old and they know what they're doing, they know how to animate. We don't want to say that this class is too advanced for a 7-year-old to take. So we always try to put it in just a broad range that all ages can be able to jump right in and know what we're talking about, know what we're saying. And it's not too, a style that's too focused on adults so that anyone can enjoy it.
Nice, nice.
And also, we also, besides just our online courses, we also have recently created a coloring book to help teach children how to do different things. We actually have 2 of them out right now. The first one was a more generalized book to teach about reading, writing, early arithmetic, and things of that nature. And the second one is more focused specifically on the 50 states and the capitals to sort of help teach information that our young people are kind of struggling with right now. We want to help them get better at literacy rates, especially in our state. We're from New Orleans, Louisiana. Literacy rates have not been very well for a few years. So it's like, we wanted to put that out there so we could help the young people get better at doing those things. And a lot of people ask us, well, what is the age range of the coloring book? Because, it's a coloring book. Of course, you think it's for children, but we also, when we do activities or specific events where we go in person, a lot of times we will be given different age ranges. So we'll have like pre-K in one block and in 6th grade in another block. And so typically we tend to plan like coloring sheet activities for the younger kids. But when you end up getting the 3rd and the 4th graders and they see the coloring sheets on the side, they're like, oh, I want to color. And they end up enjoying it too. So even with that, we tend to not give like a specific age range. Of course, we say, it's a coloring book generally, maybe like 5, 6 and up. But, we don't want to say we stop at like 12 or 13 because the 12 and 13-year-olds seem to like it as well. So we try to make it as broad as possible because a lot of people enjoy it. We also went to an event for a couple months ago when it was like Autism Awareness Month. There were, of course, older people as well who have autism that also like to color as well. So we say any age really can take advantage of the things that we offer.
Oh yeah, coloring is definitely all ages. I still color, so
yeah.
Yes. So this is awesome that you. So okay, so back to Twinimation. So with completing one of your courses or completing your program, is it a program like a 6-week program, 12-week, or is it like a certain time frame, or how does it look in regards to the actual lessons, I guess?
So it's not on any sort of time limit. The way that it works is we have a website where all of the courses are listed and you can take a look at which specific course you're interested in. It's a one-time purchase, and after that you get access to all of the lessons. Some of them will be like 20 or 30 some odd videos, not typically very long. Some of them are longer than others, but you are free to go through it at your own pace. If you want to watch a couple videos today, you can do that. If you want to watch one and you don't want to use it for a while and you want to come back to it, you can do that. It's more than free for you to go through it however you want. There are other things that we do, like my sister just said she did a one-on-one session with a student, and that was a specific time frame because it was on a website where it's meant to be like a certain set of days at a certain time, sort of like an after-school tutoring thing. So things like that are a little bit more like time-gated, but for the online courses, it's like a one-time purchase thing. You're free to do it whenever you like, and you have it, forever.
Okay, and I was going to ask about the one-on-one. That's something you could sign up for through your website also.
Yes, it can be on our website. We have a section where we have, I believe it's probably just called Tutoring, where you can register to have one-on-one sessions with us, and the time limit does vary. For the one I did for the other student, that I believe was a 2-week session where every afternoon or so we came on, and I think we were in there for an hour. It was, I think, just a Zoom meeting like this one-on-one, and it was essentially just a basics of animation class where there are 12 principles of animation. So every single day I did a different principle. So there are principles that basically the principles are what make your animation look more realistic. So things called squash and stretch, things where animation looks a bit bouncy so that it looks just more lifelike and fun. I would just go through one of those every single day. So each lesson she would have, I would talk to her for a little bit, and then she would have a little, I called them activities because I didn't really want to call them assignments because I didn't want to give it like a feeling of like work. So I would just say an activity where for squash and stretch, usually they have kids do, or anyone they do, a bouncing ball. So if you can do a ball bouncing for a few times, that shows that you know how to squash and stretch a figure. So she would do something like that. So every single day will be something different. But some days, because this was in summertime, she was also had her own after school, or not school, but like camp activity she was doing. So some days she would tell me that she was genuinely unable to do the activity. I said, that's perfectly fine. You know, I'm just here to give you your information. So if you can't finish this activity, that's okay, as long as I can show you more and make sure you understand it. And you could do like a hypothetical of what you would do. So those kind of things are more on a time limit, but I do try to make it so that's long enough that they get as much as they need, but not too long that, you know, they get kind of bored, because I know that young kids, you know, if you keep them in one place for a long time, especially if they're just sitting there, they might get a bit bored. So usually I would just have her for an hour. And again, the whole course was 2 weeks. And by the end of it, I just went over with her to make sure that she knew everything that she had. And I gave her the opportunity that if she wanted to do an animation and then send it over to me, I would always give her critique and feedback. I think she did send me one thing that we talked about. So those are the kind of things we also do, where if people want a more one-on-one and they want to talk to us directly, that's always an option. Even with the courses, we do also allow you, you know, you can always send us an email and say, hey, I've been having a bit of trouble with understanding this concept. Can you give me some advice? And we'll always go in and let them know. So we always want to be available to people who need us. But for people who are a bit more wanting to learn on their own, that's always an option as well. We want to make everything with our classes completely flexible to the learner in question.
Nice, nice. So you've already given a little background as to how, what led you here as far as your passion for animation in general. You all are recent grads. Y'all are young.
Yes, we
Yeah.
graduated in 2021.
Okay. Yes, y'all little babies. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said y'all live in New Orleans, but y'all aren't from New Orleans, are you?
We are.
We are from New Orleans.
You are. Where is the New Orleans little twang? Y'all don't have any kind of.
We don't.
Yeah,
we
they
don't
took-
because our mother is an English teacher, and she didn't want us to necessarily have that for like conversations like this. So we don't really have it, unfortunately, but our relatives do. So don't
Okay.
worry.
No,
She
I
has
mean,
it. She's free to have it, but we're not allowed to have it.
really? Okay. Because I was
Yeah.
like, okay, y'all must not be from New Orleans. Y'all must just live in New Orleans. Okay. No worries. I love New Orleans dialect. Like I loved it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We like to hang out in New Orleans a lot. We went to Mardi Gras last year.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And my girls, yeah, that was their
Mhm.
first Mardi Gras, and I told them it's not an every year thing because Mardi Gras is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot. So, but that's awesome. So, okay, how was your high school experience? Are you ladies in college, or are you all just
We're graduating now. It's actually interesting. We actually first started doing animation work kind of in high school. We went to I don't know if you heard of it, Ben Franklin High School. It's
Okay.
a pretty popular high school, but in there it's known for having kind of a college setup to prepare the students for college life. So they consider it to be a very advanced high school.
Nice.
So, and in that high school, they had like a lot of different classes and clubs that I don't think you really see in other schools. So one of them was, I think it was called a media class, where we had different activities like filmmaking, and it wasn't really advanced filmmaking. Like you weren't really, drawing on drawing tablets. At least when we were there, I think they do have some now actually, but when we were there, they didn't really have them, or at least they didn't have too many. But we had this class where we were basically doing things like filmmaking, film analysis, and we did end up making, I think, a few kind of short animated films. One of which was we did it with a couple. We were in a group of I think 5 girls were in our group, and we all did this short film about these characters that were like the living embodiments of natural disasters. So there was an earthquake character, there was a tornado character, and so on and so forth. And it was just like a big four-way battle between these different elements. And in doing that, my sister and I, Arnisha, that's when we really kind of like pushed our interest in animation and having this class available to us. And I really felt if we didn't have this class, we might not have been as interested in it. But it was really great that they allowed us to have it and everyone else, because we were able to learn like, how do you actually make a film? And she would show us videos of like behind the scenes of Disney animators being interviewed, of how they actually make films like The Lion King and The Little Mermaid, how to actually draw frame by frame different things. And so from that's how we really gained that interest, specifically in 2D hand-drawn animation. We have done more 3D work, like, Pixar with the model characters, but our passion has really been through 2D, because people have had this fear. I'm sure you might have seen 2D is kind of like this dying form that people are terrified that we're going to lose it, because Disney themselves have largely shifted to just the 3D productions with like Toy Story and Pixar and different things, Moana and things like that. And whereas the drawn, like The Princess and the Frog and all those other old films, we don't really see too much of that. So whenever you do see those things popping up from time to time, people are really excited, because we don't want this form to die, even though it's mostly shifted from hand drawn to digital. We just want it to be there. We want people to know that drawing is an art form that we don't want to go away, especially with AI and all this stuff that's happening. People want to keep that art form. So that's why we do mainly focus in 2D, because the market for 3D is really there's a lot of that. You're always going to be able to find someone who can teach you 3D animation, but 2D animation, especially being taught by people from New Orleans or areas where you don't normally see, taught by women, you don't normally see that too much. So we always want to make sure that people know that there are outlets being taught by people of color, taught by women, where you can learn these types of things from people who might be able to relate to your situation. That's why we try to always go to schools in like lower income neighborhoods to teach them these things and let them know that these are options available to them, because especially with homeschooling, because a lot of people might not know that these options are even available to them. I'm constantly talking to people in the homeschool communities, and they always tell me like, we don't get too many animators or people doing this kind of art reaching out to them. I say, I know, that's why I'm always trying to reach out, so people will know, because I think people tend to feel pressured, like, oh, my child wants to learn animation, but I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to send them to art school, so what do I do? And so we want to let them know that we when we went to school and graduated, I said, I want to take this information and make it more affordable to people, so that they don't have to, if they don't have the money, they don't have to take all these loans and get into debt and do all these different things to put their children in school. So that's why we really try to make all of our courses affordable. So if you go to our website, I don't think we really have anything more than $200 on there, because we want to, and we also try to always offer payment plans. So if you can't pay all at once, you can pay month by month, whatever it may be. We try to not have too many things on a subscription format. We are planning for at least one, for if you want to get like access to everything, like a big thing, then that can be a subscription. But for the smaller one-on-one classes, we try to make those one-time purchases, always offer payment plans, because the affordability is something that we really want to emphasize, that people who think that they only have one option, they have to go to this particular school or they have to do this particular thing, they can know that there are options out there available to those who are on more of a budget. And that's actually ironic, because our very first course was called How to Create a Film on a Budget. And that's why when Arnisha was talking about offering free programs, offering one-time purchases, things that can help people in that way, we always want to make sure that that's a forefront of the business.
Nice. Yes. And how long have y'all been into animation, or did it just develop in high school?
I guess personally, I've always been interested in anime. So in watching anime, I always, everybody always says, I want to make my own anime. So that was kind of an interest that sort of increased in like, I guess I'll say even as far back as middle school, because I remember like going to the library in the school, and there would be like how to draw cat girl characters or whatever, and I would always check out those books and like draw the characters. And so it was kind of interesting, I guess, since we were born, we were watching like Pokemon and Digimon and all those things. So once I got to the point where I realized this was something that I could make, and like create, I got a little bit more into like drawing and like throughout middle school. And like my sister said, when we were in high school, there was like an art class you were able to take. It was more of a painting class, but it was still an art class. So you could like kind of draw whatever you wanted that fit in with the teacher kind of assigned. And so when it got to high school, and my mom was asking, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to do with, your life and all of that? And, I was like, I don't really know. And so when we were looking into like, our mom is a teacher. And so she taught at the school that she taught, there was an art teacher. And so we would, at times when she had to bring us to work with her, she would leave us in the art teacher's room because she knew we liked art. Nice. And so she thought the art teacher would talk to us about different like art things. And so eventually at some point, the art teacher had told her, you need to send them to this school. And so she looked into a bunch of schools and she was like, I don't know about that one because it's out of state. And we had never left the state. We are from New Orleans, I promise you. And so the school... And so the school
was a little questionable.
We actually have like I didn't know this. There are terms in New Orleans that other states don't use. And so you will know, like other states don't say make groceries.
Girl, that was the first one I was thinking about.
They say buy groceries. And so when we were in Savannah, this is a random story, I'm sorry. But the lady said, we said something to this lady and say we went to go make groceries. And she was like, what do you mean you made the groceries? Like you invented the like, and I was like, what do you mean we made groceries? What do you mean? And she was like, but what do you mean you made groceries? And so I had no idea this was a phrase that only we use.
Yes,
I didn't know about we use cold drink and they say soda. It was a whole like thing. So I don't have the twang, but I know all the terms. I don't even know what these other states are saying.
Yes, ma'am. But anyway. My first love was he's from New Orleans. So we dated for 8 years. And so I'm well versed in a lot of the things that's why I was like, I love New Orleans. Like I've been many, many times. I was sad because I never went pre-Katrina. I only went after Katrina. So I didn't get to experience, all the vibrancy of that. But New Orleans is amazing. But yes, girl, make groceries was the first thing I thought about.
Yes. I was so devastated when I found out that's not a term we all use.
It was funny though, because there were other people from New Orleans who went to that school, so we all used the same terminology, and everyone else around us didn't. So
they were so confused.
I thought that was funny. That at least there are more people from New Orleans here I can talk to. But anyway,
but what I was saying was the school was in Savannah, Georgia, and so obviously that was going to be like, which is very similar to New Orleans, by the way. But anyway, so our mom, both of our parents really, but mostly my mom, she was like very hesitant. Like, do you have to go to Savannah? You can find someplace here, right? But there's really not. In New Orleans, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of schools, colleges really dedicated just to art. And so, eventually she talked more about to the art teacher at her school, and she kind of like eased her into it, and she was like, well, if this is what you really want to do, and so she was like, we're gonna get you there. So basically throughout all of that, we sort of it started at a young age, the interest in art and animation and things like that. And once we realized, I guess, that there was a school that we could go to learn it, because at that time I was sitting here thinking I was going to have to go to Japan to learn anime, and that was going to be a huge thing for my mom. So we were fortunate enough that we were able to find, there were a few schools. There was also, because most of them are like in California, these animation schools. And she was like, the closest one was in Savannah. There was also one in Atlanta. It's the same school, but different campus.
It's called the Savannah College of Art and Design, but it has several branches. Yeah. So they have an Atlanta branch. They have a branch in France and different places.
They used to have a branch in Hong Kong, but like right around the pandemic, they closed that one. But they have Savannah, Atlanta, and Lacoste in France. And so we picked the Savannah one because they say the Savannah one is like the main one where you can get like everything, and they really focus on art in the Savannah campus. So we ended up going to that school. We got our bachelor's degree, and then we did for 4 years, and then we did 3 more years to do the master's degree. And so it was a really fun experience. They really do like.
Hold on.
Before we did that, we actually did a summer program there.
Wait, hold on, because I'm the math. So you have already earned your master's degree. When did you graduate high school?
We graduated high school in 2014. 2014 we graduated high school.
Oh, okay. So 2021 is college. Okay, because
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm like,
clarified
wait
that.
a minute now. Hold
Yeah,
on.
I thought I said that before. I'm sorry.
No, I know.
Yeah,
You said
Yeah,
school.
okay.
Oh, yeah. So we got school 2014. The first degree was 2018, and the master's was 2021 because we were able to cut off
Okay.
1 year because we had extra credits.
Okay. Yeah, no, because that's all like no, y'all look
I was about to say I
teenage,
apologize.
okay?
I apologize. I apologize for our faces. You know, a lot of people think that
We
people think that
we
we're
look
12.
younger than we are.
Yes, okay. No, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Oh, okay.
28.
Go ahead. Go ahead, love.
Yeah, where was I? I was
You're
saying.
talking about having to go to Savannah to learn
Oh yeah, I was saying we went. I was saying we originally went in the summer for this summer program to kind of like get a feel for it. It was like, I believe it was a week that we went, and we all like got the chance to go into like the room where you see like the drawing tables, and everyone in our group was like, "This is heaven!" Like the kids were
Aw.
literally like, "Oh my gosh!" Like we were seeing it right in front of us. And so after we did that first week, I was like, "This is it. This is gonna have to be the school." And so I was like, "Well, oh, you've already been once. You might as well go." So
Oh,
it
nice.
worked out really nicely, and like the way that we were able to like get into it, and like it was a little bit to adjust, of course, to being away, but when it came to adjusting to like actually like taking the classes, it was like a pretty swift process, and we got into our own like routine of how to do this, and we got to finish this on time, we got to work with this person, because it's also a very like group oriented type of thing, because when you work on like films, this is, you know, a big team, so a lot of times you need to learn to work with other people and a lot of different groups, and you got to check this person for what they have and what this person has. And so overall it was a good experience. I really enjoyed like that school and being able to like just experience a lot of like the information that the teachers had, because a lot of the teachers were either former teachers at or former employees at Disney or Cartoon Network. Some of them worked at Nickelodeon. They would tell us exactly what they worked on, and they would show us like clips and be like, "See, when I was drawing this, it wasn't fun because," and just fun stories like that you don't hear about when you're watching the movie. So overall, it was a really fun time.
Nice. So when you were talking about the 2D drawing, that's just the hand, just regular, you know, pen to paper, pencil to paper, and then drawing the mini, you know, you know, I guess like, you know, how the little flip books and things like that's about as much as I've done. But you know, like making it move that away. So this is really from scratch, like the old school way.
Yeah, we learned that primarily, but later on in the first couple of years, they do teach you that. Later on, they also teach you digital animation. So it's like, you know, like with the tablet. And so you can draw on the tablet and it'll show up on your screen. So it's still manually drawing it, but there's some more leeway in that you can do some shortcuts and things like that. But when you do it with the pencil and the paper, there's no shortcuts.
Nice.
So they definitely
you
teach
both
you
are
that.
artists.
Yes.
We just have different styles we like to focus on. Like I've always been like old school classic Disney fan. Like The Lion King is my favorite movie to this day. And so
you went and saw Mufasa?
I didn't see it because I didn't see it because I actually didn't even see the first one. So I didn't want to the 2019 one. So I didn't want to see that one without having seen the other one first. So, but I might check it out. But I really have always
animated,
liked.
So you don't want to see it.
It's like it's not that it's not that I don't want to. Yeah, it's 3D, I guess, animated. It's just that it's not that I don't want to see it for that reason. It's just that I've never been a person who likes all these excessive remakes because I think the original is already fine. So I don't really see the need to just remake it the exact same. I mean, it's not the exact same way, but it's the same story. So I've always kind of found that a bit weird. I'd rather see a sequel or a different story, a different character.
Well, Mufasa, you know, is like a
that's why I think the Mufasa story is a bit more interesting because it's not just the same Lion King. It's getting his perspective since we don't see too much of Mufasa in the original movie. So I thought that was a more interesting idea, if anything. So I might check that one out at some point. But that was all. My passion was always just those old movies and seeing like back way years ago. Disney Channel used to have blocks where they would show like behind the scenes of the movies, and if you bought the DVDs, you could see the storyboard comic drawings from before they start. So that always just amazed me. So being able to actually do that myself, it became a real passion for me. Once we like Nisha said, when we got there and got to see the actual like drawing light tables where you draw with pencil and paper with the animation prongs. I thought that was just the most amazing. I remember my first day in class. I was so happy. I texted my mom a picture of it and I saw, look at
Aw,
this. I get to
yeah.
use these drawing tables. I was so excited. And so that's always been something that I wanted to emulate myself. And so getting able to actually do this and make films, even though now we mainly focus on the digital side, to me, it's still just like the same principles are there. So whether it's drawing with a pencil and paper or drawing with a tablet, to me, it's all just the same process. I just always thought the process of making a film like that was just so beautiful. And seeing what you can actually do with digital programs to make it as close to hand drawn as possible, but also make it more efficient. I just think it's really great seeing what people are coming up with programs like that.
That's what I was gonna ask, like with the where AI is going and technology has grown or is continuing to develop, like it's a limitless process as far as what you can animate now, right?
Yeah, you're being able to do so much more than you could do. Now, I think the AI debate is a little bit, people are on different sides of the equation. I personally am fine with the idea of AI making things more simplistic because animation is such a time-consuming process that
Mm-hmm.
one of my professors told us, like, you will get arthritis. It will happen. You just need to know when it's going to happen. So we're all just panicking, like, oh my gosh, we're going to
They
just.
warn you about all the time. They say you're all gonna have bad backs because you're hunched over all day drawing like this.
Yeah.
I have had I don't have arthritis, but I've had like carpal tunnel where the
Oh
just my
man.
wrist it just hurts, and you have to draw through it. You can't really just stop. It's not like I'm not left-handed. I can't really just do it with my left hand either. So they warn you about all of these
So you're
things.
going to have bad eyesight because you're staring at a
Yeah,
screen
you're
all
staring at the
day.
screen all day. So there are
Yes.
definitely, I'm just picking up, there are definitely areas where I think AI will be able to improve upon like certain things that are not necessary for animators or artists in general to have to go through. But of course, we don't really want to see it replacing the work of a person because that I've seen, some of the creations that people make with animation and AI. And it's not that they're like, in a few years, they're going to be like indistinguishable. Like we all know that that's coming, but there's still like a certain human element that, it's not picked up on. And it's very unlikely that it will be able to pick up on it in the same way because there's just certain, like, when you watch these movies, even if whether it's 2D or 3D, there's certain like characteristics that like when you have a person moving and like slight movements and things like that I just don't think a machine is going to be able to capture in the same way that a person who moves like that will be able to recreate. So there
Yeah.
are like plenty of, and there's also AI just in illustration, like just drawing simple pictures where you look at a lot of photos that are digitally created with AI, and you'll have artists who are against that. They'll say, oh, I redid it, and you kind of compare the two. And even if there's like an illustration that you can't tell is AI, it doesn't necessarily like mean that it's sometimes like it's just like missing something. It's not really capturing like aspects of real life that you would like to see. So I know that there's a lot of concern about this, but I personally don't think it's going to get to a point where people are completely replaced because there's just, first of all, most people don't want to see that. So I don't think that the support is there that it would ever replace people. But I just think that it's missing some human connection when you're not drawing it yourself, even if you can like streamline the process to make it quicker. Like a human's thoughts are like going to be more, because in contrast to that, sometimes the machine is too expansive and it like just makes things that are like impossible, and it kind of just takes you out of it. Because now I'm like, okay, well, why is there a tree coming out of the water? Like if a person draws a tree coming out of a water, I think that why did he put that there? I think there's a reason why there's a tree coming out of the water. It means something. There's like a significance there when you see old artworks like classic paintings, and you're like, what is this for? You know that there's a reason for that. When the machine does it, it's because it doesn't realize that the ground and the water are separate, and it just generated the tree and the water by mistake. And it can't really tell the difference between where the ground ends and where the water begins. So
Gotcha.
that's another thing that a lot of people I don't think they catch. They're like, there's a reason why people do things, and the machine is not doing it because it understands the reason. It's doing it because it's been told that this is what this looks like. This is what a beach looks like, and the palm tree goes here. And if it can't tell where the water starts and the sand ends, then it's just going to put the palm tree somewhere in the scene. Whereas if I'm Dali and I have like some thought in my head, or Picasso, and I have some thought in my head about the intricacies of life, and I'm putting a tree in the water, there's a reason I'm putting the tree in the water. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but like it's one of those
No,
things
I
with
get
AI
it.
that it's
It
it's
lacks
one of
the
those things that
emotion. It's not.
Yes.
it lacks the emotion and like the thought process. Like, why is that there? It's not there because it generated wrong. It's there because the artist saw a reason to put it there. So I think that humans creating art is gonna be a thing that it lasts for a long time. No matter how much AI can like help the process, I think that we're still gonna be able to work on it individually. And that's, I also wanted to mention why we still promote the courses, because there are a lot of people who create courses who are kind of concerned, like, well, what's even the point of me trying to teach art and animation anymore? Because, in a few years, it's going to be all the AI. Why do they even need to hear from me if they're not even going to be doing it themselves soon?
But the artists are still being born.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like people born, they don't know. Like they don't have to be born in a world where the first thing they do is pick up an iPad and download the first AI program. They don't have to do that. I mean, then the option is there. Like, why don't we just try? We don't have to give up immediately.
Indeed. No, yes, I agree. What have you two ladies created?
We have created,
like in terms of films, or
yes.
So we've created a few films through college. Well, at the Savannah College of Art and Design, there are, well, actually, in the past, there used to be a program where you had to make a film to graduate. So your final project would be, for undergrad, you'd make a film, and for your senior thesis, you'd make a film. They have changed that. Actually, when we were there, like about to graduate, that was when they finally changed and said, you don't have to make your own film. You can work on someone else's film, because some people just don't have a passion to make their own film, but they want to work on films. So that's why they ended up changing that, because people were just making films that they weren't passionate about because they had to to get the degree. So nowadays you don't have to make your own film. But when we were there, that was still kind of a thing. They were kind of shifting. So Arnisha here, she made her own short film, and I just assisted on that because my film, I didn't really have too many ideas for it, so we just worked on that. And other people kind of were just helping their friends out if they didn't have the passion to make their own. So I think that did work out. I did actually like that change up, because I think it gives more people who don't have the full passion to make a film from start to finish, they can still do something and not feel like they're forced to do something they don't want to do. Same with the thesis. If you don't want to write a paper, which that was the thing you had to do, you had to write a full, like, actual essay thesis paper. Nowadays, you can make like a booklet of the process of making your film. So we actually did write the paper, because like I said, we were trained since high school to know how to do college work. So I just decided to do the paper because I thought it would be just, what I wanted to do. I wanted to explain my process in words rather than just through pictures. So we have made several films for that. So we made a senior film. We two worked on one film. It was called Magic, and which I think all these are on our YouTube channel, so you can check them out if we link them. And we each made our own separate thesis films. My thesis film was a film. You had to choose your own topic based on animation. So my topic was basically telling a story in non-linear order. So instead of telling a story beginning, middle, and end, it's like a story that starts in the middle and then takes you back to the beginning, and then you get to the end. And so through that film, it was kind of, and again, it's on the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's called Powerless. And long story short, it's about these characters based off of food, and they live in a refrigerator, but you don't know that they live in a refrigerator until the very end. It's like their world is being destroyed, and like things are falling apart and disintegrating and melting. All the characters melt throughout the entire film, and you end up seeing
the refrigerator breaks.
Yes, the refrigerator is unplugged, and you have to. The theme of the film is that I want the viewer to watch and see what's happening. If they can guess it, then I like, all right, I did a good job. So that was my thesis film topic.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'll let Blake talk about hers. But before I let her talk, I also wanted to mention we also had one class, which I loved this class. It was one of my favorite classes we took, where we all as a class came together to make a film. And the film we made was actually a hybrid, half 2D film, half 3D film. So those of us in the class who like 2D animation, we made our 2D character, which was this little like radish vegetable kind of thing. And the people who were more interested in 3D and like Pixar animation, they did the 3D aspect, which was the gardener. And so it was like this short where it was like this vegetable character running from this gardener, and they were coming together to eventually build this garden together, with where all these vegetable characters kind of live together in harmony. And so I thought that was really cute and fun. So from that, so we've made, in terms of films, I guess a total, we've worked on those to completion 3, but we also worked on side films as like extra animators for other classmates and friends. So we have these like resumes where I could probably give you the full number. At least I guess I can think of at least 6 off the top of my head. And
Nice.
so we've worked on different side projects here and there. We've made projects for since we graduated for family and friends. Like Arnisha, she can talk about. She did a little advertisement for a friend of a church member, I believe it was. So we've done different projects here and there that we can again show you on our different channels so you can see what we've worked on. Most of them are pretty short. We haven't really done a long form film yet. We've done like short advertisements. Actually, we recently did an advertisement for our activity book that I can also link. It's one of the characters in the book just advertising the book saying what's in it. So we've done a few different projects here and there. We hope to do more different things to show people the process of how we do it. And actually, in some of the courses we did, through the process of making those videos, we actually ended up making short films. So we have a lot of different things that we have done in different forms. Most of them are just kind of short form, which I actually like because short form content is really like growing these days, especially with YouTube. How like you see so many people, even teenagers, making like a day in my life, draw my life, this, that, and the other. And so that's why I like encouraging kids to do like more short form videos because that's really all the rage now. I really think that that's going to become something we see more and more.
Nice.
And I'll just briefly say, for my thesis film, the concept that I chose was personifying an inanimate object and making it into a character. So I have this basketball whistle, and for he's all, the referee is wearing the whistle, and the whistle is alive, and so but nobody sees him, and he wants to play basketball, like he wants to actually like be on the court. So basically it's like a 2-minute film where the whistle, when the referee leaves, the whistle comes to life and he wants to just shoot a basket. So the paper that I write and the film that I made is showing, I wanted to show a character that can't not speak and like allow you to like interpret the emotions from the inanimate object character. So that was a film that I worked on. Another film that I worked on. So the way the school worked, generally I didn't plan my classes like in a good order at a certain point where there were a lot of people who had already decided what their thesis film was going to be on. And so they took this class to basically just work on it. And I did those out of order. So I had not decided on my thesis film yet. So I kind of had to make something up for this particular class. And so in that class, I did, I guess, my first real kind of like anime-esque type of animation, which was like, I don't know if you know, like the magical girls, like Sailor Moon and all of that. They transform and stuff. Yeah, so the transformation, how like she turns into like the hero. So I wanted to make a character that does like a transformation. And so I did like just a little short for that. And I still use that video like whenever we go like to different schools because kids still like Sailor Moon. I didn't know that people still watch Sailor Moon. I feel very old when I talk to
every time we go. I feel old because I'm talking about shows they've never heard of. I'm talking about Jimmy Neutron. They have no idea what Jimmy Neutron is.
Jimmy Neutron, I'm like, this is just despicable for you to not know who Jimmy Neutron is. This is horrific. But anyway,
I used to watch Jimmy Neutron as an adult.
I'm saying, I'm like, if you don't know Jimmy Neutron, it's terrible what's going on with the children. But anyway, so I still take these films and they really like them. They're really into them. And so that was a short that I did. Like she just mentioned, we did a little short animation to like advertise the coloring book. And so that was something I did more recently. So we do have a few like short things on our website and YouTube channel that like kind of show like how things have like progressed with our animation over the years. So like the one she mentioned, the first one we did called Magic it's a little rough, but it was an experience. I have fond memories of working on that one. So even though if I look at it now, I could definitely do it better if I would ever redo it, which I have said I kind of want to redo it just kind of like for fun. But we have made like a few like short things. Like the thing about animation is that it takes a very long time. And I don't think a lot of people understand how long it takes to make a minute of footage. It takes weeks, months, sometimes.
That's what I was gonna ask. How long would a actual movie take?
Yeah, so movies
like an hour and a half per se, like
yeah, like usually those types of movies, I mean, they take years to create, like especially back before we had the technology that we do now, and you had to actually draw all of those by hand, like all of those like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, all of those things being hand drawn. It took years, like 2 or 3 years to make a lot of those movies. With 3D movies, they've kind of streamlined the process and things like that. So, nowadays it's maybe 2 years, maybe 1.5 years. They're a lot quicker now, but it still takes quite a lot of time. So,
And these are teams of hundreds of people too.
And that's what I was just thinking. I was like, and this is with teams, right? This isn't just one person. This is
And a lot of things people don't think about, not just the animation, you need music, you need a lot of music. You need voice acting, people to talk to voice the characters, multiple people to voice the characters. Sometimes you have old productions where one person voices like everyone, but these days they don't usually do that unless they have to. So you have a team of people who have to voice act, and not all the time are these people not that they're not working together, but the people who are drawing, the people who are voicing don't necessarily have anything to do with that. So you have to work with what you're given, in terms of that. And when I was working on the basketball whistle film, at the time, I'm not into music. So I was like, I need someone to be able to create some music for me. So I had to reach out we had a music department. So what we would do when we were creating the films, and of course the professors encouraged this, is like, reach out to the music department, reach out to the acting department. If you need a voice actor, reach out to such and such and such. So you're reaching out to all different types of departments to create a single film. And it's just like in the industry where it's like, okay, I had this one girl who was working on my backgrounds because I was just drawing. She was doing like just the background. And so of course she has her own things to work on. I was like, hey, I kind of need the backgrounds. And I try to be a very loose person because, this person is helping me. So I'm not like demanding. So I'm trying not to demand it. But then my professor is like, okay, where are the backgrounds? You need to make sure that you get on these people. So I was like, hey, whenever you have the background, it would be nice if I could have them. So it ended up working.
Collaboration takes a lot, honey. It definitely does.
So think of this as like on an actual film where you have strict deadlines. Like, we need to release the movie. We said it's going to be a Christmas movie. If it's not ready at Christmas, this is a problem. So y'all got to get to work.
Release it anyway.
We're going to release it aneway, and it's going to look how it's going to look. So your name's going to be on it. And so it's really a time-consuming process. The way we didn't have semesters, we had quarters, and it was a 10-week quarter. So you had 10 weeks to work on any given thing. So when you have 10 weeks and the end product is like 30 seconds, you can kind of see like how long it really takes to make a film. Like, it's really, really a long process.
I love this. I love your passion. Both of y'all are so passionate about it. I love that. And let me, because I love twins in general, and I want to have twin boys. So I gotta ask y'all a little bit about the twin aspect, because y'all both already identified that, okay, we both like animation, but we like our own separate animation as of what we like. So how has this been as far as going to college together, going and getting your master's together, and now you're in business together? How has all of this been as far as still trying to keep or maintain your individuality?
I think it's been an okay process for us because, like I said, we've always kind of had different interests, whereas Nisha has been primarily focused on the anime. And I do like anime. I watch anime still, but I never really had the same interest in drawing animation. I've always, like I said, been that old school Disney or, old, just classic media. I've always been a very nostalgic person. So it's so funny because my parents are always making fun of me. Every Christmas season, I always watch old Christmas movies and old shows because I just find them more enjoyable than like modern films and TV shows. So that's been really my passion. But I think we've been able to come together to work on, to like put our interests together when it needs to. Like, for example, I said I worked on her film for her senior film. That was more of an anime style, which I don't usually draw, but I was fine working on it because I had an interest in like the style, like magical girl stuff is what more interests me in terms of anime. So it was more of a magical girl thing. So I had fun doing that. And I think we can like take the things we like for each other's passions to put together. Like with the characters for the coloring book, when I thought of those characters, if you see them on the website, they're more like little cutesy, like old Disney, Mickey Mouse kind of characters. But so we draw them in this style where they're kind of similar to like these small little like Hello Kitty style chibi characters, like Japanese small cutesy character. So they kind of fit in and mesh together. So they have our own aspects as part of them. So I have things I like about them and she has things she likes about them. So we're able to have our own unique aspects, but also bring them together. So that's why I think it's been really beneficial. And I think it's not a case where we feel like we have to do everything the same. We have our own passions. Like on the website, I have courses I've worked on strictly by myself, and she has courses she's worked on strictly by herself. And we offer classes to each other that are just our own separate interests, but we still have the same principles and qualities in mind, where we use different programs sometimes, but we can always tie it back into working toward this one common goal. So I personally think it's been something that worked out, and I guess Blake can explain how she feels about it.
Yeah, with the twin thing, it's always kind of a double-edged sword, because I make this joke a lot with my mom. I was like, what is it like to be an individual? Like, what does that feel like? Because I'll never know, I'm never gonna know what that's like. And I always also make fun of her, because she'll be like, hey y'all, if it's just me, and she can see that it's just me, and I'm like, she's like way over there. She did that yesterday at church. I walked up to her. She was like, y'all ready? Because we walk out at the same time. And I was like, yeah, y'all. And she was like, I know it's just you, but because her mind, this is a slight tangent. She told me whenever someone who's about to have a baby asks her like just some advice about, raising the child, she always speaks and says they, and like assuming that the person is having two children or multiple children, because we're her only children. She's only ever had, it was her only pregnancy was a twin, and being able to need two of everything. And so her mind is strictly in as though people have two children. So kind of like when it came to like us going to school, and we were roommates. My mom was like, if you don't want some random person in your room, y'all better get along up there. So we were roommates the entire time. And so it does get to like, I guess you kind of worry if it's like we're not like branching out enough. We're going to the same school the entirety of our lives. And kind of in our younger years, she kind of prepared us for that, because in pre-K and kindergarten, we were in the same class. And by the time we got to first grade, she said, okay, they got to be separated. You can't have them always in the same class anymore. And so she did end up having us separate for up until Hurricane Katrina, which was when we were in fourth grade. And, when we came back after Katrina, for a short period of time, we were in the same class again. And then when we went to middle school, we were separated again. And then high school was kind of like, when we got to high school, it was like you start switching classes. So some classes we would share, most of the classes we didn't share. And so with college, it was back to some classes we shared, some classes we didn't share. Sometimes we just picked different professors, or we had them at different times, because she likes getting up at 6 a.m. I did not do the early classes. I was fine with the occasional 5 o'clock class, because I also don't like being out late. But so it was like to a point where I didn't want us to always be doing the same thing. Like if we were doing, I was happy that our senior films ended up being rather different. They didn't look similar. You could probably tell that, two different people worked on them. And when we worked on each other's stuff, I tried to make it look like her style and not my style, so that it looked like kind of cohesive, and she would try to do the same thing for me. So we definitely want to try to not be too one or the other, like not too twin and not twin, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know if it does, because you kind of expect that the twin is, we're doing the same thing, but like some people also think that's weird, like you don't have any individuality, and it's like, well, what do you want from me? It's like, so
but
it's
you
like
do
it's like
even with your hair. Yeah, I was gonna say, even with your hair, I see y'all both have decided y'all are locking up, y'all.
Yeah,
so she has her hair up, and then I see the nails. I see you both have the same glasses. But your personalities are definitely different. Like even with me just talking to you in this little short hour, I could definitely see your personalities are different. So I feel like I'm just fascinated by twins in general. So are y'all identical or are y'all fraternal?
We're fraternal. Everyone thinks we're identical because they say we look extremely close. Well, there are people who say we look exactly alike, and then some people who say she looks like our dad and I look like our mom. So it varies.
Which is strange.
But we are fraternal.
Okay.
2 minutes apart.
2 minutes apart. Oh, yeah. Who's older? You're oldest in pink.
Yes, I'm oldest, but I'm
I know.
shortest.
But I am taller. A little bit, just a little.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so amazed by all that you created and just how passionate you all are about it. I love it. And the young people need this. I talk to my girls all the time when we do watch or have watched animated movies. I always tell them, that's somebody's drawing. Like that started out as somebody's drawing. That's an idea. Like we talk, on that level of creation and understanding that someone created this. Just thinking about how, like you said, prior to all of the technology, how people were penciling all of those many different frames is mind blowing to even think about. But I'm happy that things have gotten a little bit simpler, I guess. And are helping in that direction. Can you tell us where to find Twinimation Studios? Website, YouTube channel, all that good stuff?
Yes, so our website is called twinimationstudios.podia.com, and Podia is just the name of the host. So you can.
I think it's at Podia.
No, it's twinimationstudios.podia.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and once you go there, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the website, the first page, all of our social media links are there.
Okay.
So, and all of them are pretty much the same name: Twinimation Studios, Twinimation Studios Inc.
Instagram, Facebook. We have a LinkedIn, a YouTube, and I think that's it.
Yeah. So all the links are at the bottom.
All that in the description also.
Yeah. So the website, once you get there, like I said, it's all laid out, separated based on the course sections, the in-person activities we do, our activity books. We also offer bundles. So if you want to buy, if you have someone interested in multiple different subjects, like I have one course where you can animate in the Tom and Jerry golden animation style, and one where you can animate, like she has the anime style. If you want both of those, you can get those both as a bundle, but for a discounted price than if you were to buy them separately. So all of that is on there in different sections. You can always email us if people look at the website and they want some more information on what they want or what we offer. They can always shoot us a quick email at twinimationstudios@gmail.com. You can email us also directly through our website. You can message us on social media. We're always active on social media if you want to reach out to us there. So any way you want to contact us, we're always available.
We also have our coloring book on Amazon as well as Etsy.
Yes, and Barnes and Noble Press.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Before I let you go, I will need from both of you ladies, 3 things that you would tell parents to how they can, I guess, feed their children's passion in animation or drawing or art in general. What would you give parents as far as advice to, grow their children in the direction of their love?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is definitely get them into art classes, whether that be at their own school or if you find local events, whatever it may be, even something online. Just get them into something that will increase their passion for drawing. I do recommend in-person activities because I think also being surrounded by other people with the same interest will help them out, because I think especially like at the school we went to, you had the animation department, you had the illustration department, like being around people with your exact same interests, you just understand each other. You can talk about things that other people might not get, but you both get it. So definitely putting your child into any kind of art class where they can learn things that they have a passion toward with others who have the same passion, and get the teacher who also can tell them exactly what they need to learn will be a great benefit. So anywhere they can find any sort of class like that, or finding some sort of, or learning what they like and trying to gear that toward, like if they, for example, if they like to draw animals, try to find a how to draw animals class, just anything it may be that you can afford or get them into, even just like finding a YouTuber influencer, reaching out to them, anything where you can get that connection of it, getting their passion started, I think would be the great first step.
For me, the first thing I would say, I recommend books and YouTube channels that are kind of dedicated towards a specific style of art. Because when it comes to books, I would always, my mom, we used to, like in the past, our mom would take us to Barnes and Noble like every Saturday, and I would go straight to the manga section. And so being able to like see, have someone like seeing the thing that they want to create, which doesn't necessarily have to be manga, but when you're in a place with like a lot of comics and things like that, you start to like hone in on your specific interests. So if a parent is knows that the child has a specific interest but they don't exactly know like a streamline of it, like exactly what they want. Like, do they want to draw characters? Do they want to draw backgrounds? Do they want to do special effects? So being able to see that in different types of books and how it looks, it can kind of put it in their mind how they would create that, and they can more focus in that area. So definitely books. And I say YouTube channels as well is a good place to start, because there are these days a lot of YouTubers who are artists who not only make tutorial videos like how to draw this in this program or how to color this in this program. A lot of them just show, and I really like these. They do speed paints where they basically will have a finished illustration and they'll show you just like how they drew it from the beginning to the end, and you just kind of see the process of how it gets from just this line drawing to like this fully colored illustration. And I really enjoy watching these, so I would definitely recommend for parents if they have a child, especially if they like illustration, to check out YouTube channels where it just says they can search things like illustration making. Usually they call it illustration making, and or painting time lapse, things like that. Really like show the whole process. And it really, when I started watching those, I was super like, I started getting more into illustration, specifically like just drawing, not necessarily animating, but drawing. For like a whole year I was watching those type of videos, and I really like pushed myself. So I really recommend those.
And the last, which I think ties all this together to the third point I would recommend, is if they can, to purchase some sort of tablet for their child to draw on where they can actually do it themselves. So the best way I think to get your child's passion actually going is to get them the program. Ask them if they're serious about this. Get them an iPad they can draw on, or just a small little tablet. It doesn't need to like be a big expensive one. There are small tablets where you can get the pen. And like I said, I recommend always free programs, looking up free drawing programs, free animation programs, so they aren't totally blowing their budget, because the tablet themselves might be the most expensive thing. So from there, I recommend, okay, once you've gotten your child a tablet, and I see this a lot on, like, because I'm in different animation Facebook groups, and you'll see parents come in and say, hey, my 11-year-old wants to get into animation. What should I get them? And we'll go in and say, you want to get them, if you can get an iPad, you can get them the program Procreate. You can get them, if you have a computer, they can draw and get the program Krita. It's free, totally free. So anything that can actually get them working, I think starting out animation early is the best thing they can do, or even illustration, comics, whatever it may be, getting them into it early so they can know that it is their passion and start working toward it really soon is the best thing to do, especially if they do plan to go to an art school, because they do want you to have a portfolio. They want you to start working toward that. And if you can get them started on that in middle school before high school, that is like the best thing you can do. Get them started working on things before they're even at college or whatever they may choose to do, so that they can already get it in their mindset, know the process of how to do things. They already know the ins and outs of how to use a program, because at college or any kind of school, they're going to want you to know them. That if you get a class on how to teach it, that class might last a couple weeks, if that. So you really want them to already know what they can use. So that is the final point, that after they've gotten the books, they've learned their child's interest, get them a program that they can actually draw themselves in and start learning on their own before they go to the higher education aspect.
I have a quick, just one more quick point. Another reason why I would recommend letting them, even if it's just pencil and paper and they can't get like a tablet or anything, another very important thing when it comes to animation and illustration is getting your art style. This is something that a lot of people, like, they really want to be like, okay, who do I want my drawings to look like? Like what style do I want to put out there? Because you want to have some individuality, of course, to like what your work looks like, but we're all inspired by other people. So naturally, you're not just going to come up with an art style yourself. And so another thing that I recommend for getting them into art young is, even if it's just hand drawn or digitally, is to like allow them just to be able to start figuring out how they want their characters to look, or not even if whether they're humans or animals or whatever they choose to draw. Because this is a thing that I noticed, a lot of people like who kind of get into art, not necessarily like super late, but they get into it later than maybe they could have. They're very pressured to find their own art style and to make their art look like very, very unique and very individual, which all the times is not necessarily possible because, like I said, we're all inspired by someone else. The reason that you want to draw 9 times out of 10 is because you saw somebody else's art and you really liked how it looked and you wanted to create that too. I'm the same way. I have a handful of favorite artists that I reference and I look at and I say, I like how they drew this, this, and this. I like how this person does hair. I like how this person does eyes. And so people feel very pressured into having their art style the second they start drawing, which is just not how it works. Like your art style builds over time. So I would definitely recommend for parents to let their children start drawing as early as possible, like to just so they can start getting a feel for that, because by the time they're older and able to like really start like pushing this as a passion, they're going to already have that, and it's not going to like this, it bogs people down. Like they feel like they can't create things if it doesn't look like original. So the earlier you get out of that fear and you have that art style, the sooner you can like really get into like the passion. So
yes, thank you so much, ladies. Is there anything else you would like to share?
I think that's all. The last note, we just really hope that this will inspire people. Again, we really just want people in the homeschool community to know that these resources are available, that they can find, even if it's not through Twinimation Studios, that there are outlets out there that even if they don't want to take our classes, that to reach out to us, we have information that can be given to other people. And like I said, we mentioned, especially where we come from in Louisiana, certain states, certain cities there that aren't, California or Georgia, Texas. You think that the film industry just seems like a far away thing that you can't get into. And we want them to know that there are so many local programs, online programs where you can connect with people. And a lot of times it's mainly through schools and you feel like, oh, if I'm a homeschool person, I can't get into them. But we want people to know that these are options open to everyone. So if you're being homeschooled, if you're a homeschool parent, don't think that your child can't learn these things on their own. They can't learn through certain avenues, and always feel free to just search animation homeschool programs or how to learn animation on a budget, whatever it may be. So you can always know, and we want all these kind of parents and students to know that these resources are out there available to them.
And I just want to say thank you, because it's very hard, to be able to, advertising is really hard, especially when you're like a small business. So we don't have too many opportunities to be able to talk about Twinimation to like a large audience that's not, in our city. We go somewhere in person to talk. So being able to just like spread it out a little bit more is always appreciated. So thank you very much for having us.
Very, very welcome. Thank you, ladies, for what you're doing. I appreciate it, because art is not something that's going to go away. Like I said, artists are being born every day, every day. So I appreciate you and your passion that has led you to doing something that you love and want to share with others and grow them in the same direction. So thank you. Thank you. Parents,
Thank you.
Of course. Parents, no, just like she said, there are resources. Anything that your child is into, you can find someone who will draw that passion out of them and build on it. So reach out, connect, keep doing your research, but just understand that this is not something you have to do alone. If your child is passionate about any kind of topic, any kind of subject, feed it, and watch it grow and blossom into, hey, whatever it is meant to do. So thank you. Always, my motto is homeschool your kids.